So I went ahead and added a couple more parts of this. So we just continue adding the beads on following the pattern. Okay, we have 14 rows of the high sheet, mother of pearl beads, another set of the moonstone beads, 12, 15 and 15 of the adventuring beads, 12 and 12 pearl, and 10 of the moonstone at the end. Okay, and then each of them have a little section of the gold and the peach in between. And so to finish off this portion, what we're going to do is take the crimp bead, just like we did in the very beginning, slide the crimp bead through the wire, and bring it about a few inches, slide the top end through the crimp bead again. Oh, you know what? I forgot my little gold bead at the end there. Hold on. One more little gold one. Then we can do that. Okay. So whenever you're cutting your wire, just make sure you give yourself enough room extra of wire to work with so it doesn't get too hard to attach. Okay. So before I close this off, I want to make sure everything is like, placed in the right spot and there's no kinks or curves in the wire, and that over here there's nothing poking out on the end. Okay. So for this part, I am going to take this bead and just kind of scooch it on down. And then I want to get this kind of close, so I'm going to just use this wire loop tool, pinch that bottom wire, and then just pull it gently so it makes this loop on the end right here. And that way we have enough there for the ring. And I'm going to get my crimp tool and close that off. You don't want to make it super tight. You still want the beads to be able to move slightly, but you don't want it to be long and super loose either to create gaps. Okay. I'm going to take this little extra tail before I cut it and just kind of place it in a couple of these beads, and it should pop out another end here. And we just don't want to have to worry about this tail end getting sharp on the edge there. So I'm just drawing it through the beads and then just leaving that tucked in there. Okay, so this is like the longer portion. So then what we're going to do is we're going to start making the pieces for the rest of this. Okay, now in order to prepare this whole section, what I like to do is to kind of get a lot of the parts set up and then kind of put it all together. You could work one at a time, that's totally fine, but I kind of like to prepare things in advance just for the sake of recording. So I have a couple of things already made, and so I'll show you how I set those up. Okay. A lot of them are going to be like this, like just looks like little loops, and I'll attach them as I go. So for example, before I start attaching this portion, I could just start by getting a piece of wire, and it's the same wire we're going to use throughout, and it's this craft wire here. And I want to cut several of these pieces, and these are about 2 inches. And we're going to use lots of these little wires to attach and make little links for everything. Okay, so I know that if I just start going through, I can start making some of these sets. So I can make some of these little drops already. So I could just kind of have them ready to go. So I have a couple of these set up, little drops. And so this is how I would do it. So this one, for example, it would be a glass bead, and it looks like one of these white shell beads. So I'm going to first make the bottom of it. Okay, so it's just a little loop like this. Okay, and I'm going to keep it loose not twisted or anything. Fold the wire so it's perpendicular to the bead. And the other loop. So this just kind of sets it up so I know that I'm going to use that later. Okay. For the drop beads, they're just a little different. We're going to make the loop, slide the drop bead in here. And on this sheet, I made these blue because they have a little bit of iridescence. Okay. So that's how the drop bead would start. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is cross the wires and twist it. And that one is going to be already kind of secured on there. Okay. Twist it around. You can also use a little loop tool to hold it. Probably easier. Cut this little tail extra. Straighten this out. Okay. And this will be ready to attach here. Okay. So I'm just setting these pieces up. I have a few ready to go. That will attach onto that one. Okay. And then this is going to be the little focal, and this is going to be the ring. So as I go through, I'm just going to start attaching these to the chain. Okay. So I have a few set up here so I can just kind of continue. So once I have this ready to go, I can just slide it in and then close it off. So to close it off, we slide it in the loop, make sure it's actually in the loop all the way. And then I'm going to take my wire and just, with the bead, twist it around a few times. Okay. You're just wrapping the wire around. Okay. If your wire gets really small in there and it's kind of hard to reach it, you can just get another little set of pliers or even a loop tool and use that to twist it around too. That might be easier. Okay. All of these little ends of these wires, we're going to want to trim so that they don't poke and eventually, you know, scratch the person who's wearing them or scratch their clothes. So I'm going to go in here really close and try to cut those off so that if I were to feel it, I wouldn't feel the scratchy portion. And so you might even need to like really press it down. Okay. So that's kind of like finishing touches. All right, this one's open. So I'm going to wait until I get the next one going. So on this one, it has these two green ones. So I already kind of have one of these started. One of them I closed already, so I can just slide this one that's already closed onto this loop. And close this side. Okay. So whenever we are closing the wire, all we do is take that loop, crisscross it with a bead, and just try to wrap that wire around. Okay. So I just wrap it around a couple times, 2 times at least. And then again, we want to get really close and trim that wire. Okay. Now I have this loose one. So now I'm on the next part of this worksheet here. So I'm going to attach this focal moonstone piece, which I believe is still in my little baggie. Get them from here. So this one's ready to attach, and it's the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way you put it in. And that's going to attach there. And same thing, closing the link. So I'm just going to go in, take that little tail. Okay, it's a little bit small, so I'm going to get a little tool just to pinch it and wrap it around. Okay, this wire is a nice craft wire, but it's also very thin, 24 gauge. So if you find that you're breaking your wire often or it's snapping or something, it could be that the wire is kind of old and worn, but it could also be just too thin for your hand strength. So you might want to go up a size, so maybe like a 22 gauge. But this is just an option, right? All right. Ooh, see, I just got that one. Okay, so I'm gonna take that off and just redo it real quick because I accidentally cut that wire. So luckily I have another set ready to go and I can just attach it here. All right. All right, don't break it this time. 1, 2, okay, a couple times. And trim the excess without cutting the wire. You just round up. So I'm just adding sections of this. This one I need to add a link. So if you have something that you need to add and it's not attached to a bead or anything, you could just make like a figure 8 link. And so that's what this is. Or if you have jump rings, you can just use a jump ring to attach it. So a figure 8 is just a basic figure 8 shape without any beads in it. So I'm going to attach this first loop to the moonstone like this. Close this up. Again, I'm grabbing the little loop and twisting it. Okay. Trimming the extra. And then on the other side, since I don't want to put a bead there, I can just leave that kind of blank. And then go right up next to this one and just make the other loop on the other side. So it makes like a figure 8. Okay. Before I close that one off, I want to attach it to the one that I need to add it to. Then I'm going to slide my tool right in that loop. And I would even double up and go around this first layer of wire. Oops. And then take off the extra. That's my moonstone. So I'm going to keep going and I'm going to add one more set of these green Paishi beads. And I don't believe I have those set up, so I'm going to make another one real quick with some wire. Okay, cross it basically. Okay, slide it into this link. That's a connector link with the moonstone. Twist it. So once fully, even 1.5 times should be good. You just want to make sure you have like a little coil right there so it holds it together. Straighten out that little cord so it goes straight along the path you're traveling. I'm going to add my 2 Haishi beads. And that's going to be perpendicular to the 2 beads. I'm going to rest my pliers right next to it. Okay. And I'm going to wrap that wire around to loop it. Now I'm ready to attach this to the next section. Okay. And this section that's next is the chain. So I want to leave it open so I can just attach this chain to it. So this is a chain, it's called like a Rolo chain. It basically is made up of just circles interlinked. And so I'm going to take this chain and take the very end and slide it in there. Then I can close it off so it attaches. So wrapping it once. All right, nice and tight in there. Trimming off the extra. Okay, so that's the chain. And so before I continue, I want to go on the other side of this and do this section. So I need a moonstone and a little shell piece or a little moonstone with a glass bead, the link, a couple other beads, and then it attaches to the chain right here. Okay, so that's going to be this piece. I already have it set up. I'm going to drop that in there. wrap this. And again, you can just do this one at a time. It doesn't have to be like set up. And the next one on here is this metal round link. So I'm going to slide that on here. And wants to get in the way. Okay. There we go. And wrap that wire around. Okay. Not too worried about those little edges poking out. I can always come back in with some really skinny pliers and, you know, cut those off before I finish it off. Okay. So we have that link. And then this one says to do a pearl and a moonstone, but I think I'm just going to combine those two together. So let's see. Let's get some more wire. And I'm just cutting a couple sections at a time. So you can just kind of, I don't have to measure these out very much. They're about 2 inches. Get a couple of those ready to go so you can continue without worrying about it too much. I'm going to loop these. Okay, cross it over, right? That's how you would start it. I'm going to attach it to the metal link first. Twist it a couple times. Just like you're twisting one of those bread ties. Okay. Trim the little extra that wants to poke out. And then I said I was going to attach a moonstone and this glass bead. So there's my glass bead. And where's my moonstone? Here, I'll just use these. Okay. So I just put those two together just for the sake of time. And I'm going to just make the loop on there. And that's ready to go for the next section. So that's these two together. And then the green Aishi beads. So I'm going to make a new one of those. So I'm going to close the link because this one is already opened. So I can just kind of close it to start off. Okay. I can attach this even before I put the beads on. Close this end. Try to get that coil nice and tight on there. And doing this, wrapping a bead, it just takes practice. You know, it's kind of tricky to kind of get the direction of it, but just takes practice to do it. And that one doesn't have the green beads on there yet, so I'm going to put them on. Two little green ones. And then I know those two attach to the chain, so I'm going to make the loop, bottom of those two, and then put the chain on there. Place my loop tool back in there and then just wrap this wire around a couple times and trim. So this is going to be the top part. It's more of an asymmetrical pattern, so it has kind of like a balance to it, but they're spaced out differently. It has this kind of balancing out this one, this moonstone, this link. And then this is going to be kind of the center. Okay. So on the center, it has these little teardrops. But before I do those, I want to make sure I get this center bead placed so I know where the middle is. And so I'm going to get the little ball, peach crystal. Brings down. Sometimes I don't see the screen as I'm doing this, and then I have to move it. So hopefully, it didn't mess up. Let me grab another peach bead. Okay. And in the diagram, you'll see that it has a peach bead attached to the chain, and then it's attached to this metal ring. So I'm going to try to do that as I go. Instead of preparing that one, since it's kind of just adding everything together. Okay. So I'm making a little loop. Okay. And I'm putting it somewhere here in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfectly measured. Okay. So for example, here, this is lined up at the top, and I'm just kind of pulling this down. So this is going to be the middle somewhere right there. One of these two loops. Okay. Sliding it up the middle. And twisting this. Okay. To trim the extra, I'm going to attach the peach bead. If you want to add a little gold or a little something extra in there, you can. Probably have a lot of these gold ones. Okay. Attaching this peach one. And then I'm going to make another loop. Okay. I'm folding the bead, the wire, so it's going perpendicular to the direction of the bead. I can place the wire loop tool right next to it, pull this around. Okay. So it makes that loop. And then I can get my metal ring and I can just slide it onto here. I'm going to flip this around so I can twist it. And I'm just going to take the wire and just wrap it around a couple times and trim it. Okay. So this is going to be this center focal point. And then it does have one more down here, so I'm going to do that now. So it's all the same process. Once you get the hang of doing it the same way each time, like how to wrap the bead, it becomes much easier. So that's why I'm kind of showing you guys multiple times on this video how to wrap the bead, how to attach. Okay, so here I have this little crisscross. I'm going to twist it. And of course, if you need to pause the video and, replay how to do the bead wrapping, that's fine too. Okay. And I'm going to attach the other peach bead. Let's throw a gold one on there just for fun. I kind of like how these little gold ones cover up the little edge of the wire sticking out, so it makes it easier to keep it smooth. Okay, and then this one right here, I'm going to, again, put this fold so it's parallel, wrap this around. Okay, and for this one, I want to close it because I know that I'm going to be attaching things to this. So I'm just going to close this up. Okay. All right, so then to do the little teardrops and to set those up, well, we already went over how to set them up. So once you have it like this and you have the drop on the wire, all we have to do is, again, bend it so it's perpendicular, just like we're attaching another bead. Put the wire loop tool right up there next to it. Make the little loop. And then before you close it, just figure out where it's going to go. So 2 on each side. So just kind of space them out evenly. There's one. Then the extra. And We just repeat the same process for the other ones. Loop. Place it in there somewhere. Make sure your chain slides all the way in there, or it's gonna fall out. Twist this around, wrap the wire back. And I'm really just going over the wire I twisted initially when I first made that one. Okay, so that's the 2 little drops. I have this one. This one's a little small, so I'm gonna just show you guys again on another one. This one's good to go. I'm folding it so it's perpendicular. Putting the looper right next to it. Going around to make the loop. Finding a spot for it. And then wrapping it around. Once, twice. Okay, that's the 3. And then I said I was going to get one more because that's really short. So I'll show you guys again how to start that one in case you need to see it again anyway. So I'm going to get my loop tool to start this drop. Okay. Drop the bead in there. This time I'm holding the whole bead in my fingers, crossing these over nice and snug up to the bead, and then just twisting it. Okay. Cutting the extra. Okay. This one's already folded, so I'm going to keep it like that. Make the loop on the top. And then figure out the spacing. So I'm going to put this one right in here. And wrap it around the initial coils. So now I have the 4 little iridescent drops. Okay, so then the last part I want to do here is the tassel. So the tassel can be done, this is kind of one way you can think of it. So you can start by making a couple of the tassels just with the chain. So it does not have to be completely made up of chain beads. If you want to just use a chain to make it look like a tassel, right? That'll still look good. So this kind of a little bit thinner wire from the top one would work. This is more of that oval chain. And then so I would attach a little chain and work from that. Or you can, just build up the links how it is in the diagram. Okay. So I have the peach one first. And then if you want to change these around too, you can, it doesn't have to follow exactly. These white ones that are blank in here could be either moonstone or pearl, or you can use the white Heishi beads. It really is up to you. We have the little daisy spacer, we have the little drops, and then we have a couple of these extra peach ones, okay? So I'm just gonna build these through, and as I'm going through, I'm just gonna kind of wrap each one and kind of walk through it that way. So for this one, I'm going to add the little daisy one, and I'm going to add it onto a small, well, I'm not going to do the chain. I'm just going to do the wire looping for this one. Okay. Some of these things out of the way here. You can see more clearly. So this will be my first little section. And I'm going to start off by making the base of this a little big. And this is going to attach to that little daisy spacer. So I'm just sliding it in the very tip, just like that. And then again, just twisting this around a couple times. Trimming. Okay, for this one, I just want to add maybe a little gold bead, again, just to kind of cover up this little poking wire that's really short in there under that chain. And then I'm going to just fold it again. And you can add more beads here too. If you want to make it go a little faster, you can just add a couple extra beads and it'll still look nice. Okay, wrap that around. And then I'm just going to put, instead of that one, I think I'm going to put the green ones. So I'm even changing this one up a little bit too. I'm going to make the link for the green. Crisscross it. And attach it to the top this time. Trim off the extra. Add some of these little green beads. These are the high shade adventuring beads. I think I'll just do 2. Maybe I'll throw in a gold one here just for fun. Make it match the other gold one. Okay. So again, whenever we're closing it, we want to fold it so it's perpendicular. Put the wire tool, loop tool right next to it. Make a little loop to start off. Okay. And I'm going to slide this in. And then put that back in there. And wrap it around to close it. So that's kind of one link of tassel. And of course, later I'm going to go back and trim all these little extra pieces. Okay. So I'm going to show you what it would look like to use some of the chain. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of this chain just to see how that looks. I think it just looks good to have a little bit of chain in there, but again, this is optional. So I'm going to loop it. This is just going to be the basic figure 8 one. Okay. So I'm attaching this first section to the chain, first loop. Okay. Twisting this one around to secure it. Trimming the extra. And then making the other side and then this side is going to attach to this bottom portion. Where the tassel begins. Then I'm just going to wrap this around. Okay. So I don't really want the tassel to be quite that long. I want to make it match this one. I can also see my other one that I made here as the reference, kind of how long it's going to be. So, oh, this one doesn't have that peach bead on the bottom. So I'm going to pretend that it begins right here at the same spot. So this daisy chain is about the same. So I'm going to just cut right here in this piece. So this tassel piece is not so long. Okay. And then I can just attach some of the things on there to that section. So I have this one I can attach. This one's already ready to go. The piece of moonstone. I can attach this one to the bottom. Or if you wanted to put the teardrop, just kind of have this one set up already, so. Okay, so that's kind of like making a little cord just with the chain. Okay, I do want to add this peach one, so this is the original. So maybe I'll use that little moonstone for this one instead of the crystal. I'll put this crystal on one of the other sides. So let's see, maybe I'll do a little pearl, the high shoe pearl, and get this set up here. Oops. So we'll do a little bit of these high shoe white mother of pearl ones. Okay. Set up here. Okay, and then maybe I'll attach it to this top one. So this is the beginning of the tassel. So all of my tassels are going to begin on this ring, which is on the bottom of that peach one. Okay, just twisting it around and trimming. And this one, I'm going to leave it open so I can attach it to the next one. Okay, so this one has a lot of little pieces. So if you feel like maybe this is too much wire wrapping for beads and you want to keep it simple, you could always just string the beads along a wire, just like we did in this first portion, and attach them that way. So it can make it seem like it's a little bit faster, but that's up to you. That's one. And I'm just going to leave it an open loop like that because that's going to be the end of mine. So I don't want it to fall off the end. So I'm just going to leave that open loop. And attach this one to the one I just placed, which is this one. Okay, well, that one's actually open still. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one since that one's ready to go to attach something. As long as you have one of the ends open, you know, it's fine. You don't have to keep them both open. Okay, my wire got really short in here, so I'm going to just use this other loop tool to twist it around. Okay. And now I can add it to this one, the white one I just put on there. Okay. Twist it around. This one also got a little short here. Let me see if I could just do it with my finger. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we have a couple pieces there. Since I have this one open, I might as well attach a little drop to it or something. And it's really how, you know, up to you how full you want the tassel to be. So if you feel like with 3 strings, that's looking good, you know, or 4, you can add as many as you'd like. So I'm just going to add the little drop on here. This one, again, I'm twisting it, so putting this loop tool right next to it. Careful not to break that glass bead. Twisting it. And trimming the edge. Okay. Loop. And I can attach it to, let's attach it to this one. Now we have our little tassel. Okay, I think I could probably maybe add a couple more to this end, this little chain, or even add another little chain on that side, but it's really up to you how full you want to make your tassel. Okay, I'm going to do just one more set of green and attach it here. I think that would look good. Some green or white. And add that. White. Well, that's the blue one with white. I feel like I need white and green on this side. So let's do that. Let's do. So this one I'm going to just attach directly into the chain. I'm going to add a little bit of white on that one. This white one, actually, you know what? I'll put one of these drops because then that'll kind of finalize. So I'm just kind of changing it up from my drawing already, but okay. So I'm adding one more of these little iridescent drops. And in this diagram, it also has a lot of these little blue tiny ones on here. And so if you wanted to add more of those blue ones, you can. I didn't actually use these in here. But they would be attached in here. So I'm going to throw in a couple of these blue ones here, last minute here. Let's put the first. Let's see what I mean here. So I'm adding the drop, twisting it, trimming it. And before I, finish it, I can add a couple of these light blue ones. It just helps kind of blend with these iridescent drops because it has the same shimmer as the blue drops, so kind of works with it. So maybe if I have time later, I can attach a couple more of these little blue ones here. Okay, it's really just kind of like an accent. All right, so I'm gonna loop this. I'm gonna flatten that out, make it perpendicular, wrap it around the loop tool. And then I'm going to attach it to this green one that I had going on this side. And so that looks a little bit more full. Okay. We have a couple little drops, a couple little spacers in there, and so that'll finish off your little tassel. Okay. Just so you know, make sure that this can fit over your head. If you end up making it too short, You can always attach a little bit more to the chain right here, and that'll help it go over your head, okay? All right, but that concludes the little sage and moonstone necklace portion. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make these earrings. Super easy. So I'm going to get a little bit of a longer piece. I would say maybe 4 inches for these earrings. Okay. And all we need for this is the little crystal, the peach little crystal. We need the 2 remaining rings. And we need a little gold bead. And of course we need the ear wire. Okay. So goes pretty quickly. So here we want to slide this check glass bead of the leaf onto this. Okay. Don't go all the way, just go in a couple inches. And then we want to crisscross these wires along the top. Okay. Twist it, try to get it close. And you just want to twist it so it's nice and flat. You don't want it to stick up too much. Okay. Twist it. And then, see that way. And then trim off that little extra. And then we have, this goes straight up. The check glass bead goes on there. The little gold bead goes on that one. And then we just make another loop. So again, I'm folding the wire so it's perpendicular. Putting the loop tool right next to it. Making the loop. And sliding this little metal loop onto here. Once it's all the way on, just gonna get this wire twisted around a couple times and trim it. Okay. So that makes it. This little loop does have like a more of a shimmery side, so decide which way it's supposed to be facing, and you might need to twist the wire a little. And then we want to attach the ear wire. So all we do to open up the ear wire, and most of them are like this, you just take the end of the ear wire and you just open it up slightly going up. And then we want to place the earring. So the earring is going to face this direction. So just make sure the shimmery part faces up. And then this is going to just slide back down. And just make sure this little spring slides all the way back to hold it in place. And that's how you would make the earrings. Okay. So one more time real quick, just because these go pretty fast. Grab my other leaf. Let's do it real quick. Crisscross it. Nice and snug right up next to the leaf. Trim the extra. Straighten it out. Glass bead. Gold bead. Okay. That goes perpendicular. Make the loop. Attach the metal ring. Close the loop. So that's the other one, and you just attach the wire. All right, so then after you're done, you should have your set, have your fully made necklace, and 2 earrings. Okay, hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next video.
Okay, thanks. Bye.